what better way to do an unboxing than 9 months after the unboxing? I said I would do this, so let's do it. 9 months ago I got this machine. This was like 9 months ago. And I unboxed it, recorded all of it, and just kind of sat on the footage, did nothing. And I was supposed to put it up, I was supposed to edit it, and all of it. I kept promising that I would do it on TikTok, which, by the way, if you haven't seen my videos, that's because I haven't done them on here. I've been on TikTok, because I just didn't want to put in the effort to do YouTube, because YouTube is effort. Let's be honest, no one really likes editing, so here we are. So since this is so much later and I have fully unboxed and played this for 9 months, I feel like I needed to put more into this than just the unboxing, but there are plenty of videos out there of like how to play, so I'm not going to show that. But we'll go through the unboxing, we'll show you everything that there is to see on this machine to a degree. You know, give you an idea what it's like. All right, here it is. Your topper comes strapped on and everything. This is actually like not even like a dent. Like this is the only thing I found on the box. So they shipped really well. Inspected the whole thing, no problems. But now I gotta take it all out because I gotta fit this through the door. That's as far as I got. Up one flight of stairs. Got another flight of stairs. There is the speaker in the bottom. I recognize this. I don't remember what brand it is, but this is not a cheap speaker, so this is decent. This is a mesh. It's not metal. So that's worth keeping in mind when you do have to move this. Don't touch that. Don't put anything near this because you could go right through that and damage the speaker. All right, in the lay kit, I don't know how this is my first new pin, so I don't know how this differs from the other companies, but these are your bolts. These are the washers. They include protective washers, and you can also add these felt protectors on top of the brackets. And here are the legs. Looks like feet are already attached. First leg's on. The bottom back has rails on it with some slip feet. So you can feel safe putting this down on the back and sliding it around. That's cool, they advertise the pinball armor thing. That's neat. All that. This, 3/4 of a turn. There's a narrow fit, but in the cash box you got some extras. Oh my god, this is the tool I needed. So go in the cash box first and get your tools. They actually included all of it. Oh, is this a magnet? Did they include a magnet pickup tool? What is this, on and off? Oh my god, it's a light up magnet. So you can like get down in there and like, I didn't even know they made these. That's so cool. Barrels of fun, tiny. I appreciate that they included all of this stuff, but you could have made this a little bit bigger. Like what? I'm like, oh. So here's the dimensions if you need the boxed and unboxed. That box is probably not going to fit through your door.
It's big.
It's huge, but unboxed, that will probably fit through your door. But keep in mind, this thing is heavy. Like this is one of the heaviest standard size pinball machines I've ever move. If you get the nipper shooter, by the way, it comes with a separate spring apparently that is heavier, because this adds so much weight to your shooter rod that you need a heavier spring in order to actually pull this back, because a lot of people don't realize this, but when you add decorative things or change your shooter rod, it will actually add a ton of weight to the rod itself, so that when you pull it, it will not fully go back at the same capacity. You need a heavier spring gauge. This is gonna look so stupid, but like, how do you... So there's two latches. There's one over here, right here, and there's one on the other side. Two latches in place. And those keep your bar in. And this is, you have to check things. Before you go plugging anything in, check all your cables, check all your wires, check everything, because these little things can come loose during shipping. Number one, you have to check all the connectors. Check all the connectors, because if you don't, you might short something out if a connector came loose during shipping. You might have something caught on something else, like a solenoid might have a wire caught that shouldn't be. Something could have come loose and got caught on some sort of bracket or a servo. And a lot of things can go wrong just because of those little things. When you turn the machine on for the first time, run a test mode. You don't know what might be broken, and gameplay might screw something up. All right, this is actual glass. It's not translate. So the back glass doesn't come preset, so you do need to take off all of your plastic housing. So all of this has to come off here and go on that one. Here is all of our board, and this is among the stuff nobody ever shows you in their videos. This is the fast system. This is not on the thing anymore. So when you get these machines, you do have to check everything, and I mean everything, because as you see here, this came loose from the back box because it is just held in with these pegs. So these pegs are set and made so that you can remove these boards and replace them easily. But the problem is when you go and ship and move these, they're gonna come off pretty easily too. But you have to check all your connectors. The instructions on the playfield literally said, check your connectors. All of our connectors are set. Here's all your settings for your display. So if you need to change the display, you do need to go in here into the back box. One of the critical analyses that I have is there's no supporting brace. So there's no way to prop this up without having to prop it all the way up. There's usually a bar right here that you like put up to hold this up so that you can work on some of the stuff. Before I go plug this in, I want to make sure that none of this stuff is like caught or anything. It all seems fine. So I never got to look under the playfield at the expo, but one thing that I don't like about this, so these are, I believe, the servo parts that make the firies and the worm move. Build mechanisms. Like, I understand that this is easy and sustainable, and you only have to print what you need. But after seeing how these kind of mechanisms work on Roadshow and Funhouse, how this works on Rudy, no amount of 3D printing at no level will ever compete with a molded cast part that is pure full 100%, like even if you do 100% infill on this stuff, it is not going to last as long as like an actual cast part. Rudy has lasted over 20 years, and that mechanism has not been changed. But this, I don't know. I don't know how long that'll last, but we'll see. 3D printed parts are fine, as long as I can easily get those for cheap, because that stuff does not cost much to manufacture. The parts that are on like Rudy, those are like 20 bucks. These probably cost $4 a piece. Like each one probably costs like $4 or $5 to print. 3D printing is inexpensive, but you know, are you passing that cost savings on to your consumer, or are they the ones eating it? That's the question. And for how much I paid for this machine, for how much you pay for any machine, I'm not convinced yet that 3D printing is an okay thing to put on a machine that uses a lot of moving mechanics. I have less of a problem with things like this because it's just a minor little piece that just hides, all it does is hide the lamp. Let's see, how are their welds? Is there any welding on this? These are just 2-piece. Not great, guys. This isn't a great start. Like, I don't have the other machines to compare, and nobody does this. I'm frustrated that for how much money you spend on these, not a single person going in and being critical of certain things is a problem. Because no one is doing a full depth, like, deep dive review of how these machines are built, why they made the decisions they did, and what's okay or bad about like the decisions they made. You have this back screen. Under here on the back side, there are buttons, and those buttons are for the settings. So I'm not sure if I'll need to change any of that. I probably won't, but that's where they are, is back here. That's also 3D printed. This, we'll see. Oh, balls. Go ahead and try playing a little bit.
That's close enough. Stop.
Complete this quest, and you'll be rewarded.
Here's the topper. We'll get real up close and personal here. There's a nice amount of detail. It is plastic, but it's like a relatively soft plastic. Those eyes are haunting. Here we can get up close with the macro on that form. Just the quality there. It's just the best topper. So this has an LED strip right there that lights all of these up from underneath. And then you have a set of cables in back. Those go down into the back box. And I'll show you how to do all of this. Now, before you do any other work, turn this off. You don't want to touch anything that'll mess you up. The screw posts come out like this. You gotta take all 4 out before you put the topper on. You'll have a little spot where you push out a disc, and that's where you push down the wires. Once you have all 4 corners screwed down, you are set here. You can then take off, their little hair nuts. This one, and there we go. These were supposed to be modeled to the original movie. So these are actually really nice wigs for being a topper. This is ridiculous for a topper. So now we have these wires, and these wires have to go somewhere. So I need to figure that part out. Time to plug those guys in. This board is on the foam topper that comes with your topper. And then it also has these cables. You need these 2 things. Right there is an empty spot where this guy goes. All right, so this guy has to go there. And then seat this. So this doesn't go all the way down. Just press it until it's snug. And when it's snug, you're good. All right, so servos go on the right, ports go on the left. Port 2. So I think if you want to make this tidy, you're gonna have to use some zip ties. So white wire goes up, black wire goes down. Now it's possible to get these one off. So make sure that when you do this, double check that these are actually lined up with the right pins. All right, that's all set. Now we gotta get this in. Okay, so there's a power cable and then a connection cable. Power can only go one way. Power cable goes to the third spot from the left on. This does go to here. And make sure you check the pins. The pins are on the bottom on this board. So they go like that. All set. Before I zip tie anything, I need to make sure it works. This is my first time actually seeing anything to do with the topper. I have been avoiding anything about this because I feel like it's spoilers. So power button's down here. So it's on, but you will notice that this probably won't do anything. I don't know if it does, but it probably doesn't. Because you have to change a setting on the board to make this work. So you gotta open the coin door. Test your might. Settings. Topper enabled. Turn that on. Alright, we'll do a little bit of gameplay.
Oh, maybe they'll do better next time. You're quite the optimist. Hey, I don't need glasses. You were living at the bay. Bay with the power. Power of voodoo.
This is definitely gonna get flagged, so this is gonna just be me talking over what's going on. Basically, in multi-ball mode, the topper dances. But you can turn that off if you don't like it. It does make a little bit of noise. The servos are a little bit loud, so you can turn it off. Most people turn it off. It's cute the first few times, but then it gets really annoying because they do make noise. It's cute, but you'll completely ignore it. You'll completely ignore it because you're in a multi-ball mode and you don't have the time to pay attention to it.
He's my favorite. How come? He's so mean.
Now, if you haven't seen this machine up close, the apron is this full piece, and this is a decal applied. You can't take this off, so it is an entire decal applied right on here. The playfield has been in perfect condition. 9 months later, over 300 plays, and there's a little bit of dimpling right over here. There's lighting coming out of here to help light this area and also light a little bit of the playfield. This machine looks a little bit dark in videos and things like that, but in actuality, it's not that dark of a machine. All of the lights are RGB. These are actual molded pieces on here. So Ludo in there is a molded piece, and that castle back there, you don't really pay attention to it too much, is also molded. Same for the doors here. I wish the doors were interactive in a way, but they're not. Some of the other things you might notice is there's a drop right here. That drop is where you trigger the worm with the skill shot. There's another skill shot up here in back. There's a magnet right here that normally when you do a brick keeper lock, it hits this magnet. But if you trip this switch and fall down into this drop here, it will kick out here and you'll actually get a different skill shot. So there's a lot of sensors up here that you might not even notice. And then there's 2 rollover switches here. There's several skill shots on this machine. Some of them are really, really hard to get. You have the side art comes with the machine. You have this back area that displays stuff that's going on. Sadly, they didn't do a whole lot with this, so it's kind of an afterthought, I feel like. Maybe it wasn't to them, but to you, to me, it feels like an afterthought, because this kind of disappears to me. As you're playing, it tells you some status information, while this continually plays a video, but the problem is you don't pay attention to it, because even though it's right there, it's not gonna really grab your attention with anything that's going on. It tells you the status of your Labyrinth fill out. You have to fill out all the letters of Labyrinth in order to get a mode. And then mode lights up these targets here that tell you to lock your ball up here to get a mode start. One of the things I did, and I encourage a lot of other people to do this, is to upgrade to precision flippers on this machine. And the reason is these shots are so tight that with the original flippers, there was a lot of give with several of the shots, and it was really, really difficult to hit this right ramp. You can see how steep of an uphill climb that is. It's not only steep, it's a very thin width shot. So you have to be precise, but you also have to be full strength. So it is a tough shot. Now, professional players can repeatedly do this as long as the machine's well tuned. So it takes a lot of dialing in to get this machine to play really, really well. Precision flippers make it a lot easier to dial in. You might also notice I have these little additives on my drains, and that's because the width on these side lanes is so drastic that compared to a standard pinball game, this is going to drain down the sides a lot more. Like if you compare it to most standard widths on pinball machines, like I've shown this on TikTok, but if you look at the standard width of drains, it's a lot. It's a lot on Labyrinth. That said, the ramp shots are really cool. It's always fun to be able to hit this shot and see it spiral around. That is always fun. Same for this shot. It's just this super fun little slide, and those are really satisfying shots. The only thing is they're really hard to catch. You can get this one pretty easily, but if your flippers aren't set up right, this is a hard shot to get. You can see the locks are, there's a drop right here, so that if the ball goes partially up, it'll drop down and actually trigger the wise man shot. But there is a drop right here. You can kind of almost see it right there. And then there's another one up in that area. So there is a diverter right there to help catch it or deflect it. You can see it like sitting right down there. Now, if you played this at Expo sometime last year, when they first announced it, you're missing a lot of content that they've actually added to this machine. If you fill in one of these rows, top or bottom, you will get to play the Poison Peach mode, which they added sometime last year, like around fall. They added the Poison Peach mode, and that's actually fun because it's an endless one ball mode. One of the things they've added here is if you hold the right flipper, you can switch between a standard game, Battle Jareth, Goblin City, cooperative or barrel ball mode. This is co-op play, so as you progress through the game, as you play through the game, you cooperatively make goals. So it's multiple people experiencing the labyrinth in co-op mode. So instead of playing against each other like a standard game, you're playing together. The barrel ball mode is actually really unique. It's a multiplayer party game. So not only is this a fun little party mode, but it would be great for tournaments. This is the mirrored back glass. This isn't standard. So this is gold mirroring around the outside. You can see how this is basically like sunk underneath, so that mirroring gives it an almost 3D effect. And the artwork is just fantastic. I think this screams pinball to me. Look at that art detail. Like, it's so good. Like, it looks so quality. You can see the quality in the cabinet here. Just every character just looks so well hand drawn. One of the weird things I thought on this machine is there's clear buttons and they're not lit, which is weird. Why would you put clear buttons on and not light them? Very strange to me. Especially when this is lit and this is lit, but this isn't. Strange. And without seeing it in person, it's really difficult to capture the detail that's in this lock bar. I'm gonna try to. Alright, I pulled out the macro lens so that you can see the glitter detail that's in this powder coating. And this is like almost an oxblood red. And it's just, it's not brown, it's not red. It's just this gorgeous tone that carries throughout this. And you can see it more with the reflected light on the corner. Like all of the metal on this bar here, on the legs, on the sides, this is all that tone. It's even carried into this area here and this maze effect grill right there. So one of the things you might ask 9 months later is, was it worth it? Is it a fun machine? Is it like entertaining? Does it hold your attention? And I think if I was a better pinball player, yeah, probably. If I had other people who I regularly played this game with, absolutely would be way more fun. This is definitely a machine for friends, a group of people to play together. The cooperative mode is fun. Barrel ball is super interesting to play. And like, it is a game to play together. It is a game for tournaments. It's a great game if you are high skill and you really, really want, like, okay, I'll say this. I love this theme. I love Labyrinth. I love the concept. Jim Henson was my childhood. Like, I grew up with all kinds of Muppet stuff, right? So, like, this was right in my wheelhouse. The problem is, I only have so much space. And you do get tired of things to a degree, but also, like, you reach a point where you're like, I've reached the end of my skill level, or I've reached the point in the game where, like, I'm having fun, but not the kind of fun that I want to have. Or I'm not having fun, I wish I was. And then something else comes down the line where you're just like, oh, I need to have that. I love that more. You know, everything comes and goes. The thing is, there's 1,000 of these out there, and they're going around, and not everybody's gonna want to hold on to them forever. And you know, there aren't a whole lot of places to play these. There aren't a whole lot of venues that have Labyrinth, and that kind of sucks. One of the things you might think when you look at a machine like this is, how much is it, and is it worth it? And it's a lot. Like, you're looking at around $10,000 to $12,000 out of the box. So if you compare it to other pinball machines, it was worth it. If you compare it to other things, This is way more expensive than a TV. Like you're looking at around $10,000 entry level. Plus you have the back glass, plus you have the topper, and the shooter rod if you opt to get it. That's a lot. That's a lot. But if you compare it to the other companies, you're getting quite a bit for it. And you have to decide, is it worth it to you? This is a hobby to me. This is an entire hobby. This is like something that I spend a lot of time doing. I'm not gonna say a pinball machine is affordable or cheap. Like, this is not just a thing that anybody can just have. On a lot of machines, there would also be maintenance costs. But surprisingly, this machine hasn't cost me anything in maintenance. So I've had this for almost a year. I've put over 300 games on it, and it's still good working order, no problems. You've seen people who have them, you've seen people who have arcade machines and all of that. No one really ever talks about prices, right? This is a privilege. This is a privilege, right? This, you can't just like go have one of these. And upkeep can be expensive. Really depends on the quality of the build. Other thing you might ask is, after 9 months, does it still hold up? Well, yes and no. So for me, personally, I have other machines I'd really like to have around to play a lot. I've had 9 months to sit here and play the crap out of this. And even though 300 games doesn't sound like much, that is a lot when you think about it. And the 300 might actually not be accurate. I'm not even sure, because I feel like it was more than that. Every single day I was putting in like 10 games on this machine. And unfortunately you can't see the audience by day, but this game has made me better at pinball in general. I had to learn the concepts, the rules, the physics, all of the things to do with the playing of pinball. That said, it's still hard. And remember, if you can't hit the shot, it's not your fault, it's the game. Thanks for watching. This took a lot more effort to make than I thought it would, so it took a lot longer than I thought it would. I intended to put this out like last year. That didn't happen because I haven't made a YouTube video in a long time, and I forgot how much work this takes. So it's finally done. I'm glad you stuck around, and I hope that this was worthwhile. I hope that this was interesting to some degree. I don't know what I just make stuff that I enjoy, and I hope that other people get to enjoy it too. Go play your local pinball. Go find a pinball arcade. Go play some arcade games. Have some fun. Everybody needs a little joy in their life. Labyrinth is a really fun game. If you can go find it somewhere, you can go to Pinball Map and hopefully find this machine to play. There aren't a lot of locations that have it, but it is a fun, interesting game. It's not going to be for everybody. It is a hard machine, but it is really fun, a really unique experience. Every pinball machine has something to offer. And pinball isn't just for kids, it's for everybody. Stick with me as I figure all of this out. I don't know what I'm doing yet. So, I guess see you on the next one. Oh my god, it's a light up magnet!